Hey there, guys. I'm Stephy, and I'm with Between Two Teeth. We're about to get on the Indian Highway. I'm going to power up this motorcycle. Come join us.
That's right. I'm Bobby. We are Between Two Teeth. This is Motorcycle Diaries. Steph, what is the, let's start them up.
Checking for cars.
Checking for cars. We want you to come on our adventure. You know what? We were talking about adventure a little earlier on. Steph, what's your take on adventure?
So, my take here is...
And we're going to take a left turn, right?
We're going to take a left. I think adventure is necessary. It's necessary for personal growth. And you okay there, Bobby?
Yeah. Why do you think most people don't take adventures? Because if you say to someone, would you like to take an adventure? Yeah, they're going to say yes, but people don't do it. Why?
I think the main reason is just there's a big unknown element there. And also we talked about this on the way up, is that you have to go through the experience of an adventure. And an adventure... So, I mean, your experience... I talked about the experiencing self and the remembering self. The experiencing self, we don't remember that self a lot because experiences are a lot of little moments. Some of those moments are really tough and brutal. I know after work on Friday when we were kind of having to rush up here and, going into a headwind on the motorcycle for 4 hours is kind of tough on everything. It's tough on your muscles.
There was a lot of unexciting road that we had to take to get to the exciting parts.
Yes, exactly. So when you talk about the experience itself, I think a lot of people opt out of some really cool experiences in life. I mean, simply because they don't want to go through the experience of getting there.
Oh, yes. And I think part of that relies on just the inertia of, you got to pack things up. You got to make the plans. You got to book the flight. You've got to book the tour. Right now we're on this beautiful 2-lane road that twists and turns through I guess we're in Oklahoma, technically. Oklahoma forests. And, we've done this trail before, but in order to get here, you've got to load up the bikes. You got to make a plan. You've got to set things up. And I don't know if that's part of it.
Yeah, I think all of that kind of makes sense. When you mentioned packing up the bikes, that is a big part of trying to get everything going. And I think planning ahead is a lot of reason why some people won't take the experience, because when you plan ahead, you got to agree to not do other things.
Yeah.
And you got to agree to get up early and move schedules around, and all of that can be... I mean, Bobby, like even kind of on Friday when we knew we were going to come out here, it means get into bed a little earlier.
Yep.
And so all of that can be challenging.
And the fact that you do one thing means you can't do another thing.
Exactly. So when you say yes to one thing, you say no to a lot of different things, too.
Yeah.
And all of that is okay as long as you can... when you're making the decision, as long as you can be okay with that, you're going to enjoy the overall experience, even though if part of that experience is uncomfortable.
Yeah. One of the things I actually like about motorcycling is there's a lot of uncomfortable spots. You're too hot, you're too cold, you're thirsty, your back hurts. That's all part of the experience, just like when we did Machu Picchu. For me, it was...
I've got a question for you. What percentage of a motorcycle trip is uncomfortable?
Oh, I guess it depends on... When we did the Italy motorcycle trip, I'd say 2% was uncomfortable. Yeah. Mostly just having a stomach full of Italian pasta trying to get on a motorcycle. But, it was amazing. Here, on this trip, probably 50% of the roads are kind of boring.
Yeah.
Man, being in Arkansas, being in Oklahoma, through, scenic bypass... It's just absolutely gorgeous. It's morning time. It's beautiful. Like even right now, the sun is out. Smell the pine trees. Everything's just so lush and green. And motorcycle trips are not for everybody.
No, they're not. And I think the reason, even camping's not for everybody.
But yeah, there's a lot of people anti-campers.
And that's okay. I mean, that's the cool thing about life is that you get to choose your experience.
You get to choose your experience. You get to choose your adventures.
Yeah.
Say that.
Even if you end up going to, say, a hotel, which I think most people would say is in some ways, an easier experience, it may not be the overall more enjoyable one.
Oh.
And part of motorcycle riding for us has been to combine easy and challenging experiences to get the most out of our journey.
Yeah. Steph, we have a couple vehicles behind us. Let's find a spot that we can maybe just let them go by since we're on a holiday.
I'm going to get my hazards on.
Yeah.
Slow down.
Yeah, we'll get past
when they want to pass us.
Yeah, we'll get on this get away from this curve maybe, and then we'll let them get ahead. They won't pass us on the curve, so let's get to a straightaway.
Thank you for all those instructions.
That's what I do. I love.
Adventuring with hobbies. You got to take all of it there.
Yeah. Now, what I would say, you have very little fear with respect to so many things. You tell me what we're doing here. If we're going to come right to a stop.
I'm just kind of going through these turns. You know, at some point it's on the car behind you. I know we're doing motorcycle diaries, so I'll have a different phrase to make their own decisions to pass you.
Oh, there we go. Well, and when you're on an adventure, sometimes that's the case. These
guys aren't really close to us. We're going to slow here, Bobby. Slow,
gotcha.
Slow.
Yep.
We're going to make it almost painfully obvious we want them to go around.
One of the things we were talking at a dental conference coming up is communication. And when you ride motorcycles, one of the blessings for us is we've got these helmet comms. That's what we're actually recording this thing through. And you have to communicate. And you have to communicate very well. And if you don't, some real big challenges can happen. So back to you on an adventure, you don't have a whole lot of fear. You will look at something and say, yes, let's do this. And I'm more the person that says, well, I don't know, this reason or that reason. So kudos on you. We wouldn't be adventuresome, I think, if it wasn't for you.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. I'd modify that to say I have a different set of experiences. You know, growing up, we had some pretty awesome adventures. And as a kid, I can just remember my dad and mom kind of just the Gen Z version of, well, let's send it, you know?
Yeah, they just wing it and say, let's do this.
Yeah, we got caught in a lot of thunderstorms, a lot of not especially compromising positions, but you know, as a kid, it was just wild, kind of the situations we find ourselves in. So my viewpoint, my perspective is going to be a little different, and so you might consider me more on the edgy side of decision making because I feel comfortable based on my childhood experiences on managing consequences that might come with such a decision.
My parents were not edgy. You know, things were planned out. We actually didn't take that many vacations at all, which was kind of another sad thing to think about. But everything was planned. Everything was pretty stationary. We never actually camped in a tent, which I did that through, you know, other activities that I did, but I never did it with my family. And it just kind of made me yearn for it. I love being in a tent right now.
Yeah, I think tent camping is a great way for families to bond. It's a great way for people to bond because there's nothing easy or normal about tent camping. But I'll tell you this, I've had some of the worst night's sleeps in a tent and some of the best night's sleep in a tent.
Same. When we were hiking up to Machu Picchu, you didn't enjoy the tents, and I guess I didn't there either. It's tough when you're at elevation.
It didn't work, and there was a lot going on with that trip. But normally I enjoy tent camping a lot.
Yeah.
On that, there was just there were some extraneous things going on.
Nuances there.
Tent.
Yeah. And I tell you, that was the coldest shower I've ever had in my life. You didn't end up taking that one, I think. It's the mountain runoff water. I'm just like, oh my gosh.
I chose not to do that.
All right. Well, listen, to close off adventure, what are 3 things you think, people need to know, or what's your advice for people? 3 things. What do you got?
Get out of your comfort zone, embrace the uncomfortable, and allow yourself to experience some of the coolest things this world has to offer.
I'm gonna add one, and it kind of ties in with what you're talking about. Don't let unnecessary fear hold you back. There's reasons to be fearful of things. Quite frankly, there's reasons to be fearful of motorcycles and skydiving and all sorts of things like that.
I'm going to add on to that.
Oh, we're adding on adding. Go ahead. I'm looking forward to what are you going to say.
So don't let unnecessary fear slow you down, and expect that a lot of those fears you have, you're probably going to have to face when you go on adventures, which is the beautiful thing about it. So I would say anticipate coming face to face with some dangerous stuff. That's part of the adventure. What we do, what Bobby and I do on motorcycles is exceptionally dangerous. Probably
it's not undangerous. I will concede that.
It's exceptionally dangerous, and a lot of it is based on luck. And
we got a car behind us. Cars passing there now.
Planning.
Yeah.
And so for us, that's where Bob harps on communication is key. But
and we're careful with selecting weather and spots that we go to.
We mitigate our risk. But here's the thing with adventure. Adventure is dangerous, and that's okay. It's not about avoiding dangerous scenarios. It's about accepting what can happen.
Yeah.
Planning as much as you can and enjoy the rest.
Before I met the great Stephanie R. Ganter, the first by her name, I found myself living a little bit of life in fear and being too safe and careful. And there were some negative consequences to that. There were some negative consequences for not going for it. And you and I are trying to push a message to really push people to get out there and just do what's right for them. Do things. Don't let unnecessary things hold you back. And so part of that is just getting out there and doing it ourselves, saying, hey, this is what's right for us. So
we are definitely lead by example personalities in that respect.
Yeah. Well, listen, guys, we hope you enjoyed what we're talking about with respect to adventure. Go out there and get it.